Hi, and welcome back to the YM&Z podcast. My name is Nicole, the host of the show. And today's Friday, which means we get to meet another member of the YM&Z community. Today, we meet member Ariane Heinz. She is a voice coach who has a very interesting story. She worked for many years in New York alongside Céline Dion's voice coach, and she has a lot of experience about how the breath and the body and the mind are all connected and how to use it as a really powerful tool for self-expression. And I loved our conversation and I can't wait to share it with you. So I hope you all will reach out to Ariane if what she speaks about speaks to you. And I'll put all the links to everything, Ariane, in these show notes for the show. So please check it out on Spotify. Please follow and rate our podcast if you like meeting more members from the YM&Z community. And please do enjoy this conversation meeting member Ariane Heinz. So, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Ariane?
Ariane, yes.
Yeah. So good to finally meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too.
And I just did a background check a little bit on your website, and I couldn't be more excited for this conversation because I think it'll be unlike any that we've had yet. So welcome and thank you so much for joining. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you. Very, very busy at the moment because we're launching the new single of my daughter, Milun, or the artist I'm managing is my daughter at the same time. So it's kind of, tomorrow. And it's very exciting, very exciting. So a lot of work in the background.
Very cool. So before we talk about your work, I wondered if you could just tell us how you came to be in Switzerland. How long have you been here? Where have you come from? A little bit like whatever you think is relevant about your backstory until now.
Yeah, so the story is that I'm Swiss. I'm from Geneva, and I did my studies there, and then I couldn't find like the quality of pop music or like more radio music in Switzerland. So I moved to New York, and then I learned a lot about the business. And then when I came back to Switzerland, I came back to Zurich because my husband is from Zurich. And from there I built up. I built up my business in Geneva and then in New York and now here. But like, let's say for like the last 13 years I've been here, and built up quite a great community of singers, songwriter, people who are very interested in how to use their voice to the best of their ability in Zurich. So yeah, that's my little really long story, very short.
Yeah, and I want to know more personally about you. So Geneva, so were you born in Geneva?
Yeah, I was born in Geneva.
Wow.
My mom is Swiss from Neuchâtel, so the French part, and my dad is from Italy. And so they met in Italy because my mom was very interested in learning languages. And so my dad moved to Switzerland, even though he was reticent. He didn't really like the country and the cold side of it. But they installed themselves in Geneva. I grew up there, did my studies at the Conservatory. Then I was hired as a teacher at the Conservatory. Right after my studies, I was 24. And but still, like, even though I was from the outside perspective, very successful in whatever I was doing, my heart was really in pop music, and Switzerland has never been like a place where pop music was very, nurtured or encouraged, or because I think the idea is that pop music is easy, and that it's not as good or high quality of as classical music, which is just very different. I think it's just not the same realm, but it's as hard as any other job if you want to do it good. I mean, if you want to do something well, you have to put your heart into it and your artistry into it, especially when it comes to creative endeavors.
Wow. It's so interesting because I realized that my background, I'm from Neuchâtel. When I moved to Switzerland, I had to deal with my Heimat, and that's when I realized Neuchâtel. So I still need to go visit. But I think it's really interesting what you said.
So we
Like,
have a common
yes,
origin.
I always have something in common with every lady from the group that I talk to. I love it.
So funny.
But what I found interesting was your father not liking the cold. I was wondering as soon as you said it, is it the cold weather or the people? Because even though I know Swiss people aren't cold, as you say, like with the music, there's an impression that everybody gets in Switzerland. And there's
Mhm.
something about that weather that is also, it can be said about the people too. And I think that's also about the pop music as well. There's like something very quiet and like there's no disturbance, but that means that there's also not a huge sense of vibrancy. And so I just wondered, as you said it, the cold, I was like, oh, is that the
I-
people, personality, or the weather?
Yeah, well, I was saying that about my dad. My dad actually, when he was a young, after coming out of school, he did the hospitality school, and he was working in hotels, and he got a job in Switzerland, and they treated him like he was a slave, basically. He had to work about 16 hours a day. I mean, it was a long time ago, but still. Um, and he told me he lasted about 6 weeks. He was in Davos. And after those 6 weeks, he just gave his resignation, and he said, well, I'm never coming back to this crazy country that treats me like shit, basically. Sorry, my language. But and then he went back to Italy and said I mean, he had a good education. So he was working. He was not an immigrant in the sense of like not having a job. He had a job in Italy, and but he fell in love with my mom. So, and my mom was a nurse, and she wanted to. She's a nurse. She wanted to live in Switzerland. She didn't want to live in Italy. So that was the thing. So then yeah, he decided to follow her.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
being in Switzerland, no place is perfect. Like being in Switzerland, I can see why this would be the place that you'd want to raise a family, and there's so much good. But every place there's something wrong.
of
And Italy,
course.
what I know about Italy is that it's quite similar to South Africa, where it's a little bit chaotic, for better and
Very.
worse. Definitely vibrancy there, but you also, it comes with its own set of challenges. Anyway, so
Of
that's,
course, of course. But
yeah,
that was why my dad didn't want to come back to Switzerland.
yeah,
But since then, he's been here a long time, and he adapted very well. And he's, you know,
so
so
cool.
that was the little story.
And do you have a family of your own? You said you
Yes, I
got
have
a
three
daughter.
daughters.
Three. I'm one of three. Another parallel.
Yeah, I have three daughters, and one is 19. The second one is almost 18, and the third one is 9.
Wow.
We have a little one.
Oh my gosh. I was the little one, which
Oh,
just meant
you
that
were.
I had three moms.
Exactly. It's a bit like that for her. Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure it is, but I wouldn't have changed it. I loved it actually.
Yeah,
All right,
she
so that
loves it
brings
too.
me to you and what you do, which is incredible because I think for me specifically, I know now the power of voice, what a
Mhm.
powerful instrument it is, and also that there is, even though you're born with it, you might even be born with your language that you speak, but there's a way of refining it and using it, and it's such a powerful instrument. And being on a podcast, I learned that in a unique way, having to edit myself and listen to myself. And
Yeah.
I've learned a lot just like that, but without any coaching, just coaching or hearing myself. So I think what you do is so exciting and valuable and important. And I can't imagine all the ways in which you help people. And so first of all, how did you get into it?
So, okay. So how did I get into it? I've always been a lover of the arts. So when I was very little, I wanted to be a dancer, but I was diagnosed with a hips dysplasia. So dance was kind of like out of the way in the professional. I mean, at the time, the way people saw, or the dancers at the time saw that you could do an art was like you had to have the perfect body in order to do it. Nowadays would have been probably different, because I think we're more open, and maybe even somebody like me could express themselves with the body. But anyway, at the time it wasn't the case. So my mom directed me to music, and it happened that I had a talent. So I was playing the flute, and then I was playing the piano, and I was composing, and I did all these concerts as a teenager, and I had the best grades, and blah, 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 blah. And it felt like something, you know, kind of like natural for me. And then I went to the Conservatory in Geneva because that was the only option at the time. I would have probably gone to like you know, a Tzitadeka for singing or something now. But at the time, that was what was available for musicians who wanted to do music. And also when I was 20, I started to teach myself, and I built it up on the side. I was building up my own practice already. So I was teaching people mostly piano because that was my instrument at the time. And then I got hired after my studies at the Conservatory. And then after a little while, I was feeling something was missing for me, and I needed to do something. So in 1999, when I felt like years, like, you know, ages ago, but I went to New York for the summer, and I did a program at NYU. It was a summer semester, they call it, and it's called CAP 21. And it was creative arts projects, New York, NYU, where you learned dance, singing, and acting. And I decided I wanted to move to New York because also I met Céline Dion's vocal coach, and he accepted me in his class. So in summer 2000, I moved to New York. It was originally for 1 year. I asked for a sabbatical from the Conservatory from my job. They gave it to me. They thought it was awesome what I was doing. And so I stayed a year, and then I decided to stay another year. I did. And then I stayed for 10 years.
Wow. And New York, was it everything that
in New
I
York?
imagined?
So it was, you know, New York evokes a lot of emotions, in the sense of like, well, first of all, it was 2001, as you know, it was a big shock. September 11, 2009, 2001 was like a shock for New York City. And then everything kind of crumbled. So I said, okay, do I go back to Switzerland, or do I stay? And then I stayed, and I continued building my practice. I had also like students. I was working with artists in studios. I mean, you know, it's kind of like when you have a will and a vision, I think you can do a lot. And then I had my first daughter, Matilda, who is known as Milun as an artist now. And she was born in New York City, and she was there for every endeavors I was doing, all the lessons, all the concerts, and, you know, as a little one. And now it influenced her into being herself a singer. Yeah.
What a world to be into, and polarizing from Switzerland as well. I mean, New York is loud, in your face. The characters, I guess, are like so amplified, whereas here it's a little bit, I don't know if you agree. I just feel like everyone is polite.
Yeah.
And New York, it's just like, for better or worse, it's loud and vibrant, and it must have been so exciting for you at that time. And then to be exposed to the industry that you were in, like Céline Dion's coach, you said. I mean, you must have been exposed to like really creative, loud, expressive people, and it must have felt like just a breath of fresh air, and just like, what a creative hub.
Yes. The thing is that it's, you know, you come from, I mean, I came from Switzerland, Geneva, very comfortable life. There's no security. It was kind of a shock, in the sense of like, I had my savings, and that was a bit like what I was living on for like a year. And then I got I got some jobs as, it was interesting because I met some conductor. They hired me for training their daughter for music. And so I started to teach there too. And I met a lot of people and they were absolutely wonderful. But at the same time, it was not the same life at all. Like in Switzerland, I had my job, I had my security, and there it was all up in the air somehow. The crazy, or the most thing I miss maybe from New York is really the fast pace. But I'm creating it here too now, because I think it comes from, anything we do is coming from within anyway, and you attract the people that you are supposed to attract because they match your vibration. Like you say, you were talking about vibration, and how Swiss people are like polite, but I'm creating now, I have a community now in Zurich, in my studio, of people who are really eager and want to get better. And I would say what I feel at the time was the most impressive difference was the level of skills that people had. And not because they went to school, but more because they were doing it. And when you do, like you are doing your podcast, then you learn a lot. If you're self-reflective and listen and take notes about everything you're doing, then you get better. Yeah. So
I mean, I think it's incredible. What I love about this community of these expats is that so many of them have been from many different places around the world, and they've lived in other places, or they've traveled to other places, and then they know better what works, what doesn't work, what they like, and they find themselves fast that way. And then they can create, as you say, the vibration that is most aligned to them wherever they are. So then to be in Switzerland, it doesn't feel as entrapment or anything like that, because it's like you are who you are no matter where you are, and you attract the energy that you give off.
Yeah.
So I feel like this community of ladies are just people who know exactly what they want, because they've seen more and they've experienced more. And then when you know that, you can create that wherever you are. So that's lovely. And it seems you've done the same thing. What I wish for everyone is to experience what you did, because I think the difference in some Swiss people that I mentioned is that when you grow up here and you're not exposed to danger, or having that security taken away from you, or just experiencing different perspectives and a different way of living, you can easily become used to, and when your world is not shook up, then I guess you can be, I don't know, less grateful, or not as courageous or curious.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think travel is so important. And then to that extreme of like Switzerland to New York is a really exciting, it must have been one that just elevated your experience. And
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think also maybe the danger you're talking about, when you don't experience kind of a, like being on the edge. I say it's like being on the edge and have like really depending on your own skills to make things happen. The danger is, I think, not so much to be ungrateful, but really to focus on the wrong things. And when I say wrong, there's not really right or wrong when you focus on something, but like focusing too much on oneself and not on what you bring to the world, because we have an impact wherever we are. And I think if we're almost too comfortable, we get a little bit too closed off. And I experience sometimes that it makes you old, not because you are old in your body, but like in your mindset, you feel like, well, I have this little boo-boo, and then you really focus on that, or I have that problem and you focus on that. I think being out in the world, you learn that actually you have to be in service and you have to contribute to your community in order to be actually a little happier or healthier, and because we have an impact on each other. So for me, everything I do, I think, is really to serve whoever comes to me, and in the best way I can, and help them be a bit more like that. Like when you say courageous, it's coming from the heart, from the cœur, from the, in French. So I think really you're right, like being bold, courageous, and living on the edge. That's what's going to make us happier and grow as human beings. And we have in Zurich really the setup for it. It's kind of like, my goodness, we have everything. We have the lake, we have the mountains, we have the luxury of a life that probably 1% of the population on this earth has. So if we can't not see that and not take advantage by contributing to each other's happiness, then it's really, we're missing our focus, and I think our focus is what our life's going to be. Like our vibration will attract the people, like our focus is going to bring us the experiences we need to grow.
I couldn't agree more. Obviously, I would love to physically travel more often, but what I love about this community is that when you are open-minded, I think for the first part of my life, until I was 30, or maybe just before, I was so dead set on being right about everything. And it's so limiting. You know what I mean? It's so limiting your experiences, and then you stop growing. Once you're convinced that you know everything, you're dying. And you can never know everything. And then you move, or you get different perspectives. And the more you know, the more you realize that there's other things that you don't know and other ways of living. And you're not so dead set on being right. And then it changes everything. And in this community, when you speak to all these expats and they're from different places in the world, I just hear their perspective and I realize, shoot, there's something else I'm learning and some other perspective that I'm gaining. And it is that opening your mind and then, as you say, serving a community, it just elevates your experience, because the more you get out of your own story and into the collective, I feel like you aren't so stuck in your own problems. They become very small, and it's not comparison bias. It's not like my problems aren't valid because yours are bigger. It's just you realize that you're not the only one with problems, and there's a variety of it, and you're more focused on what's to gain and not what you don't have, basically. Yeah. And so I couldn't agree more with everything that you said, and I can't wait to see what you do. And experience what you do as well, because I think you just do it in such a unique way as well, because it just sounds so much like living in a different way and like experience in a different way. And so I don't know what to ask you about everything that you do literally. How can we experience what you offer, or how you offer it?
So my studio is in the center of Zurich, near Limmatplatz, and I have a big space where I welcome people who want to there's multiple things they can do there. It's either you come and learn how to sing in an adults group, for fun, just to better your voice. It will better your breath, your voice, your posture, because the way I work is with 3 horses, I say. It's like the breath, the instrument itself, and the neuro-emotional. So neuro-emotional meaning your state of nervousness, also how you connect with what you're saying or singing, and how you impact the other. The breath is really about your body. Like when you have bad posture, you actually don't enable the potential of your breathing system. So I've been trained by Robin de Haas, and he's the expert in breathing and breathing coordination. And so I do first usually like a 20 to 25 minute session where we are on a massage table and we look at all the muscles that are influencing your breath. So people come sometimes just for that. And then we do an hour on just like their breathing, because as asthmatic people can benefit from it. Also the COVID-19 consequences, people have short breath, it can help. There's so many reason why people have shortened breath because of stress or bad posture, like I said. And then so after that, we work a little bit on the posture, the instrument warming up, and then on the repertoire if they come for a vocal lesson or on presentation, you know. So I have a Monday night adult group. I have private lessons for breath or singing or speaking. I have songwriting classes. So this is once a month. People who usually take vocal classes with me, then they want to build up their own skills to write songs. And so I teach them how to write their own songs, be true to themselves, authentic artists. And you were talking about flexibility. So I think to be an artist or to be the artist of your own life, because we are all creators and we all are creating our own life, whether or not we're aware of it. You need to have flexibility, like you were saying. And this is easier said than done. Having flexibility means letting completely go of your right and wrong ideas of what should be or not should be. Because very often our mind knows only what we have experienced so far. It can maybe imagine, and that's already the first step, that something else could happen, but it's not already in reality. So you can imagine it or dream it, and then you have to make the steps for it to happen. But in order for this to happen, you have to let go of your old patterns, your old ideas of yourself, your old experiences, because they might have been true at the time, but they can change. They can always change. And my recent growth is that a year and maybe 2 months ago, my daughter, she was 18 at the time, my older one, she decided after her matura, she graduated early from high school because high potential. And she said to me, I want to be a singer. And she showed me her first song and I was like, oh, let's go for it. Let's record this properly. And then we did one, really the launch of her career was July 9th last year. And we had such an amazing surprise that at my studio where I also host concerts, it was filled, like it was overflowing with young teenager wanting to see her sing. And then we released the song 3 days later, was a success, was picked up at radio station and everything. And so this last year has been to kind of like a ride on that wave and not have any ideas how it should be. And really let go of all the things I've done before for it to grow and happen. So tomorrow, her 4th single is coming out. It's called Lunacy. And it is going to be that's the aim we have, because it's very dancey. It's very different than the other songs she's released so far, which were more indie pop alternative, but a little bit softer. This one is more dancey, and we really think it's going to be it has the potential to be a summer hit, but it depends on the people. So for me, it's like to spread it. We hired now, for the first time, I've hired a PR company to make this happen. And so every week it's a new challenge. Every week it's a new interview. Now today she's going to Lucerne. Saturday she was in Winterthur for an interview. Today in Lucerne for an interview on a radio station. And I've she's been invited to go to the Gorton Festival. We don't have yet a booking agent. We are also looking for that to help to add to our team. Anyway, so it's been a crazy ride, and she's performed in New York, in Los Angeles in May. We've working with international producers. We have interest from major labels all over the world. So it's really going really well. And she has articles in newspaper. I mean, but we're not signed, so we're open for offers still.
You must definitely share whatever links you can, and I'll put it in the show's show notes, because I'd love to see her. And this must be what a dream for you, to be so interested in the thing that she is genuinely so interested in. I mean, it just must be so fulfilling and rewarding for you.
It is like, I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like the logical evolution of everything we've been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been in my concerts, because I organize concerts every 3 months. She's been in my concerts since she was 4 years old. She performed on Broadway in New York. She's performing everywhere I was organizing something. In all over Switzerland she was. So for us, it's the logical thing, but I did not know she wanted that professionally. And now we're building her career professionally. And now we're, hustling and hustling and hustling. Everything we can put her out with, let's do this. My community at my studio is so supportive of her too. She's also teaching there for the time being until she is, on the road forever. But her students love her. She's such a good teacher too.
What does she teach that's different to you?
She teaches singing.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Yes. I can't wait to meet her. And what I wanted to say is, you mentioned how we measure everything by something we've already experienced, which is so important to realize, because you only measure your happiness by how happy you've been, all your emotions, all your experience based on what you've already experienced. And sometimes our story can be so limiting and we don't even realize it. And so that's why it's so important to put yourself out there and experience more and more and more, whether it's, through other people or trying other things. That's why it's so important to be curious about life and experience more, so that you have more to measure by, and to leave your story that you've been telling yourself behind, and accept that it really is so limiting. And I just think it's so beautiful what you do, and the fact that you guys have this alignment is so special. I have a similar thing with my mom, and her passions and my passions are so in alignment. And it's only also in reflection. She was someone who valued community and cooking. And if I think of the things that I'm gravitated to in my profession, it's also things that I do now. And I just think that it's something so special to share. And I just can't wait to meet you guys and to hear her. But also all the things that you offer in your studio, I think are amazing. You weren't there from the beginning, but we had a conversation about having a community choir, and there was so much interest, and there's so much interest in, and so much power in the voice and breath, as you say. I mean, we have a lot of ladies who are doing meditation and breathing exercises. I know how much it's helped me in my life, because I think when we're in fight and flight mode, a lot of us tend to hold our breath. Or even when we exercise, we hold our breath, and then we wonder why. And in life, even when you're stressed, it feels like you're out of breath. And it's not just a feeling, you literally are, because you tense and you hold your breath.
Yeah. Well, our nervous system is directing our breath. So so there's this story that, we're like a gazelle in the jungle, and our nervous system doesn't recognize the difference in between a real danger, life-threatening danger, and a stress experience in our lives. So, for example, if you have a stressful job, then your nervous system doesn't recognize the difference in between the stress that your boss is giving or the deadline that you're on and the lion in the jungle. So what happens to your nervous system, which is completely counterproductive of what we want, is that when we are in this rush, we have our bloodstream going to our muscles and not to our brain anymore, because the gazelle has to run from the lion. So our nervous system shutting down like this gives us very short breath. So all the blood goes to the muscle. We have no more vision. We have like tunnel vision, and we don't hear no more. I don't know if you've experienced that, like before a stressful event or something. So I do give exercises to calm the nervous system in a very efficient manner, in a matter of like 1-2 minutes. So then you can have the bloodstream again go regularly to your brain for you to be focused and really work on what you're there for and direct your attention then to your speech and not to fleeing the scenery.
It's true. And we had a language expert come on here and talk about how you can't also learn anything new when you're in that fight and flight mode and when you're under stress. And also, I know, having been in the choir when I was in school, how when especially as a teenager, there was something I didn't realize that I found in the choir, is that when it's hard to find your voice, it is a literal thing. And when you release it really helps you find your voice, your inner voice as a person.
Yeah.
There's so much that we bottle up, and we bottle it up with avoidance, with food, with whatever it is, because of all that stress, that being in that fight and flight, that fighting for your life. We hold our breath, we anticipate. It's a holding in. And that way of expressing yourself and letting go of your voice, even if it is bad, that's what I wish everyone could be in that scenario of like a choir, where it's not just you singing on a stage. Do it for yourself, like let your voice go. And being in a community, sharing it, it's almost like when you meditate. It's one thing doing it by yourself. It is so beautiful and helpful, and you have your own release. But doing it collectively with people around you, it has a whole new profound effect. And the same can be said with vocalizing yourself, your feelings, and letting it go, and doing that with a group. I had no idea. I took on the choir because I had to do something, because my school required that I had to do some team sport. And I'm not a competitive person. So I thought, well, choir at least isn't competitive. It's me and people. And we were a team. But I had no idea the profound effect and the healing powers behind that. And Sandy in our group is into music therapy, and she again reinforced the power of singing and your voice and music, and also the collective, how rewarding that is and how profound it is. And so it just keeps coming from all angles. Just the value of release, and as a community, is so beautiful.
Yeah, I always say my classes are not therapy, but they have a therapeutic effect.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that people can get on board with. Some people are very closed off to therapy or to whatever it is.
Meditation,
They can't chant Om, you know what I mean? Like that's not natural for everybody. But what a beautiful, fun experience to do it with your voice.
In a choir. So did you found the choir for the community or not?
We did not. So
okay.
Maybe you're our lady. And anyway, I know a few individuals that I think, because not everything works for everyone. And sometimes therapy is good for one person, meditation is good for another. But something that you do offers an outlet that serves all those things that they might be more receptive to. So that's why I was so excited to expose what you do to this community, because the more methods of self-expression and exploration, the better. So what you do is just so, it ticks so many of the boxes. And so I hope everyone listening seeks you out and
maybe we can organize something.
Definitely. I also know that you said you've got a space that we should come and see. I don't know what
that's
to
the
watch,
space where I teach, so absolutely.
Definitely, we should have something, because the more we can expose to this community, the better. You know, especially when you're living in a country that maybe you didn't grow up in, you don't know who's who and what's, and no one wants to explore alone. And so this community, we want to just shine a light on value aligned people, places, and experiences, and businesses, or whatever it is, so that we can sort of give a quality control or a search that they don't have to search endlessly and not know. We really like to support our ladies that we feel are so aligned and doing great things, and you're definitely no exception. So I can't wait to meet and bring you to them, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Be my pleasure.
So before I ask you we have 5 questions that we ask every lady, and you aren't to prepare for them, so don't worry. But before I ask you that, what is it that you, what drew you to YM&Z, and what is it that you hope to gain from YM&Z?
What do I hope from the group?
Yeah. Personally, professionally, whatever it is.
I joined because one of the lady came and to see my space, because she was interested in maybe subrenting it. And I said, oh, well, it seems like a wonderful community. Let me join. I'm always interested in communities. Like, this is, I think, a way of getting to know people. And like I said, it's like you vibrate and you attract the people, you know? And for me, it's like, okay, let's see. I'm very open. I have no preconception. And if I can offer something, I'm happy. And if somebody has something that I need that they offer, I'm happy too, you know?
That's great. I mean, that's exactly what we're here for. I think we are, from what I know of many of the ladies I've met, is that we're equally have something to offer and know that we have so much still to gain. And everyone's very open-minded and kind and accepting and compassionate.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to all be in this community with those people together, because then, you know, everyone has, I suppose, mutually beneficial values, and
Yes.
and that's what I love about
And I'd be very happy. Sorry, I'd be very happy to once like host a coffee, or at my place, or a meet and greet. Everybody presents what they're doing, or I always had like this idea of opening my space for that kind of event. So yeah.
So great. All right. So if I haven't asked you anything that that you wish I did, or is there anything that you wanted to say that you haven't yet?
I think we covered it pretty much.
All right, great. Well, then these questions might also cover some new ground. I hope you don't mind.
Okay,
We've got 5 questions that we ask every lady. If your 18-year-old self saw you today, what would they be happy about, and what would make them sad?
So I heard what would make them happy, and the second part is
what would make them sad.
Oh, sad. Okay, so they will be very happy that I'm still doing music and really like going for it. What will make them sad is maybe that my hips dysplasia is not fixed, is still there. Because that's one thing my 18-year-old self was really not happy about, is to have a handicap. So I'm looking at from her perspective,
absolutely.
To be very happy that I'm still in the music business doing all of this, but she'd be like, oh, fuck that body.
that damn hip.
Oh, those damn hips.
Okay.
But
what situation?
I mean, I've lived with them my whole life, and they are not in pain at the moment, so it's always good. But of course,
I often feel like these handicaps are the thing that make you really find out what's meant for you, and really like you almost lean in on something. For me, handicaps normally help you in the end.
My handicap definitely defined a lot of things in my life, for sure.
Yeah. All right. What situation makes you feel awkward and why?
When I feel that someone is lying to me, and because I don't know if it's absolutely true, but I know it. I know when people are lying to me, and I think we all probably do, but I'm such a, I don't know, like I cannot lie. So my daughters say, "Mom, you're the worst liar ever." And I can't lie. It's a trait of mine. That's how it is. And maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, because sometimes you need a little bit of like politeness, but I am not polite. I'm really blunt and kind of, like I say how I mean it. And so when people lie to me and I sense it, I just feel very awkward inside. It kind of makes me feel like a yucky feel. And sometimes I can resolve it like by saying, well, it's okay if you don't feel like that. Or I say things to allow the person to be more truthful to themselves and myself. Because really a lie is just an entertainment device for the person who says it, not for me. Because I know it, that you're lying. Who are you fooling there, So
I agree. It does make you feel sad for them. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm sad that they don't feel that they can be truthful.
They can be themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I think when you say, I don't know if it's good or bad, it is absolutely good, because then you are really secure in yourself and your opinions, and exactly who you are, and you're not afraid of how the other person is going to receive it, because either they are for you or not for you, but at least you're not going to change yourself for that. So I think it can only be good.
I try not to, at least.
All right. What do you think makes a person most attractive, and where do you put yourself on that scale?
So what makes a person very attractive is when they're, I think, okay with who they are. When they're really, okay with who they are. And yeah, and that when they're okay with who they are, and when they are always challenging themselves.
Well,
living on the edge.
In that case, everything you said, I would say you're very attractive. And actually, funny enough, that is the answer we get most on the podcast, is that everyone just wants everyone to be exactly authentically themselves and confident about that. And that is really attractive.
Yeah, self-confidence is attractive, but not cockiness.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you don't need to be cocky when you're okay with who you are.
Actually, when you're cocky, you're not secure.
Yes, exactly. So I would say I agree, and I know a lot of the other ladies agree with you as well. All right. If you were given a surprise day off to spend with yourself, what are you most likely to do, and what do you want to do?
If I have a day to myself.
Surprise day off.
A surprise day off. Okay, so I probably sing. I'll probably sing, and I'll probably read a part of a book, and I'll probably maybe get a massage.
Oh my gosh. And are you likely to do those things? If that day
was those things,
would you?
Yeah, I do those things, but if I have a day off, that's what I would do, like the whole day, I'll start with singing, a little bit of playing the piano, and then maybe read a little bit, and then book myself a massage.
Oh my gosh, it does sound like a dream day off. For me, I also would do maybe not the singing, but I know that I have things I would want to do, and then when the day, if it is a surprise, I fill it with work. So I ask that question because I need to find more of that seizing the day as it is.
Yes, yes.
All right. What would someone who really knows you well say about you to somebody who doesn't know you?
They probably say that I am very whole, that I cannot lie, that I will, and that I'm super creative, and passionate, and that I'm a leader. And I don't take bullshit from people.
I love people who don't take bullshit from people, because, you know, as a recovering people pleaser, I can see the value in that. I feel very safe in company with someone who wears their heart on their sleeves, says it like it is who they are, especially people who are the same in every room, because you get a sense of who would be like that. And all the ladies I've come to know in this community are like that, and you as well. And so, yeah.
There's two more things I think.
Yeah.
Two more things I think they would say. If it would be one of my daughters saying that I am a very unusual mother, that I trust them 100%, and that I'm not such a good cook.
Oh!
That's why I'm not an unusual mother.
I was going to say, what makes you an unusual mother? But now
okay, let's put something on the stove. Okay, pasta for today. 100 times this week.
I'll cook for you, Ariane. I'll cook for you.
All right, thanks.
You host the meetup, and I'll cater for it. How's that?
Yeah, we're the best team.
Well, thank you so much. And actually, I have a question that's unique to you. If you would be singing, what would you be singing?
If I sing, I'll sing a French song.
Oh my God, now you're a lady after my own heart. I'm learning French, and I feel like listening to French music every morning is my class.
Oh, so cool.
Very cool. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It's been so lovely to meet you. I can't wait to do it in person and to have these meets, and also to hear your daughter sing as well. So you must definitely send me whatever you've got, all the events or whatever, and I can put it on the magazine group, and I can share it in these show notes, because we definitely want to support you and hear it. And I just want to hear what you do and what your daughter does as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I can just announce that, okay, as of today, we're announcing that she is going to have an exclusive event in Zurich on August 19th to present her album. So it's going to be only 110 people. And I know the tickets are going to go like this, because she has so many fans in Zurich. And be lovely to have you there. And so that's the first time I'm announcing it.
Wow. Where will it be?
It will be at my studio.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Definitely let me know where we can grab those tickets.
I'm gonna create now the events, so I'm gonna send it to you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for doing this. I can't wait to meet. And just
thank you so much, Nicole.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for listening to my conversation meeting Ariane Heinz. Thank you so much, Ariane, for all of your time and expertise. I really look forward to the YM&Z choir, voice coaching, and much more with Ariane. If you enjoyed listening to this conversation, be sure to listen out to the Meet a Member episode, where we meet Alexandra Dender, or Sandy. She's into music therapy, and let me tell you, she's got loads of experience, and music therapy is a wonderful way to connect and grow and learn about yourself and in relation to anyone else in your life. Thank you all for listening. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Ciao for now.